Hey world, good evening. Today was a great day. Overall, the more I think about it, I learned a lot about myself today. I spoke. I had a great conversations. After I spoke, um, I spoke from my heart. I spoke from my true heart. I felt it. My emotions were flying. It was great. And everybody that spoke today was amazing. If you haven't seen the online worthiness rally, you should definitely look into it. It's worth finding and looking into. I'll eventually have the link, and when I do, I'll share it or I'll post it on my YouTube. Um, today was a great day. I mean, I woke up earlier than normal, but it was a great learning experience for me because what I realized today, and it's not something that I really have grasped onto or held onto before. I know that I've had this issue. I just never really addressed it or um, even put it into perspective, right? So my issue is when I first wake up, I immediately want to go to devices. I immediately want to connect. I immediately want to speak. I immediately want to communicate. I want to catch up on what I missed. I just want to jump right into it, right? And the way that my mind works is if I do that because I'm such a vivid dreamer and um, very lucid, my mind is usually racing so much that I can't grasp the thoughts, and I end up communicating very poorly. I mean, I'm better if I go later at night and I'm still awake, but since I'm waking up so early now, I'm trying to, get my at least 6 hours of sleep so that I can just take care of myself because I'm really trying to get into this routine of just all around taking care of myself, which for the first time in my life, I'm actually doing, right? Um, I feel great. I know that things are overall just all the way around. I'm just making progress, and I think it's because for the first time ever, I'm working on the full picture. Um, the it was being aware of something and then putting hey Kenny, how are you doing, bud? I love you, man. You're always here, and I appreciate it. Sometimes it gets a little lonely here on these things, but you definitely keep me company, buddy. uh, and well dressed. Always wearing a t-shirt, bud. Always one t-shirt or another. Just wearing different t-shirts these days. Um, today's lessons they just taught me so much, and I'm absorbing it so much different. Maybe it's because I'm just accepting it, right? Like I'm not holding on to when I do something wrong, and I'm not letting it swallow me whole, and I'm not letting it um, just destroy the rest of my day like I used to. I'm also not letting yesterday bother me today anymore, which is great. I'm also not thinking about tomorrow today, which is definitely strange. Um, when it comes to business, I'll still plan out, I'll still do those plans, but when it comes to everyday living, I'm pausing, I'm taking moments, I'm breathing in the day, I'm taking a breath, right? As if as somebody I care about always says. And I'm really capturing moments and holding on to those as the same person always says. Uh, the amount that I've learned from that person and the amount that that person has always meant to me is amazing. Um, but anyway, it's life for me is constantly evolving and changing as I am, and I'm just excited, right? Like I'm really happy. Like I'm actually happy with myself because I know I'm doing the best I can. My youngest isn't feeling great, but that's okay. She's got a little head cold and it's not a big deal. She barely has a fever. She barely, she's just a little off and wants to cuddle more. So I'm spending a lot more time with her these days. It's a Saturday, so I don't have to worry about teaching third grade, fourth grade math or staying on top of reading assignments and stuff like that. So that was a nice break. I know why teachers look forward to the weekend now. Um, Speaking at this event today, which was about kindness and hope, or hope and kindness, and I was fortunate enough to lead it off. Um, because the rest of the speakers were amazing. So I might have felt insecure talking if I wasn't. I mean, I still was nervous. I was still a little uncomfortable, but it was okay. Like I know that when I speak from my heart, it comes across properly, even if it doesn't sound perfect, and I'm okay with that as well. Um, Life has a way of showing you what you need to see at the moment, right? And my topic today is the fact that hope is free. And what I realized while saying it all is hope comes in different forms. It can come in a person. It can come in a situation, a circumstance, a job, a this, a that, right? So, but you have to be willing to look for it. You have to be willing to accept it when it's in front of you. There's been many times in my life that I haven't accepted it. There's been many times I've had opportunities and I just didn't take them because insecurities, fears, whatever you want to call it, right? And I meditated a lot today. I really took a pause and I really just focused on slowing myself down. And now I'm just tired, right? Because I'm trying not to drink coffee, as much coffee, and I'm trying to drink less coffee and just not as late anymore, because I'm waking up so early and I'm creating this routine. So trying to just train my body differently. Still getting caffeine headaches, but not as bad as I was. I think as I look at these days and they just keep adding up one after another, I'm not perfect and I do make mistakes. And I do all the time, and that's okay too. Um, the difference between today and before is when I make a mistake, I forgive myself. I show myself self-compassion. I show myself self-love, and I let it go. I don't carry it forward into the rest of my day. I don't carry it forward into the rest of whatever I'm doing. I like the bathroom started leaking today, right? Like there was water coming from down from the ceiling. The plumber shows up a couple hours later and he's like, "Well, you might have to wait till Monday to have hot water." And 3 kids, no dishwasher, no laundry, no anything for 3 days. Pretty impossible. Um, Unless I want everything to pile up. Usually I just let the laundry pile up so I can fold it for a day. Um, but I was okay with it, right? It's like it is what it is. I'll take cold showers. Maybe it's good for me, who knows? And I'll be able to be okay with that. I accept it. And the guy's getting ready to leave, and he comes back in and he goes, I might have an idea that you can keep your hot water on. I said, okay. I said, go ahead and try it. So he went up into the attic and he tried something. He goes, you know what? You should be okay until at least Monday or Tuesday. So you definitely get to keep the hot water. He's like, I had whatever, however many kids and grandkids and whatever else. And like, when you just accept things, they seem to work themselves out for you. You don't need to. I spend so much of my life fighting everything, most of all myself. So much energy on fighting myself and making my life so much harder than it had to be, creating chaos where it didn't need to be, and turmoil, and trying to figure every little detail out, right? Because it's just that's how my mind works. I overthink, I'm analytical, I break it down, I'm logical, and it wants to tear these things apart so that I can have definite answers, right? And there's been so many times in my life that I've destroyed things because I can't get definites. Um, the reality is there is no definites. I mean, what you feel one moment isn't the same as what you feel later, and what you think one moment isn't the same thing that you think later, right? I mean, each experience adds on top of itself and creates a chain of events. So you don't know where you're going to be at a different point in the chain of events. You don't know how that's going to impact you. You don't know when it's going to impact you. You don't know where it's going to impact you, right? So your trajectory can be changed at any moment. And when, I used to say I was adaptable, but I really wasn't, right? Like I wanted to be, but I didn't act it. My actions didn't meet my words. And And that's hard for me to swallow because I really wanted to and I really thought I did. Um, but as I'm learning through this process I'm going through, I, I don't care about the words as much. I care more about the actions now. It's the words. I don't even really talk about them as much. I mean, on these I do, right? Because I'm explaining stuff, but it's I'm taking action on all fronts. I'm eating better. I'm spiritually taking care of myself. I'm mentally taking care of myself. I'm taking care of my businesses. I'm taking care of my kids. I'm teaching my kids. I'm doing all sorts of things um, to be able um, to be able to just my health as well, right? Like I'm eating better. I'm eating less. I'm exercising. So there's all these pieces to the puzzle, and I'm doing them all at once. For the first time ever, right? I always had excuses. I always wanted to do one thing at a time. I always wanted to let me do this first. Let me do that first. Let me do this first. And at the end of the day, it was just cop outs, right? Like there's always an excuse. There's always a reason not to. So what was my reason to, right? And I think that's what I had to get to was what was my reason to make those certain changes, and what was it going to take for me to actually, fulfill those changes and be able to move forward with those changes. Again, I mean, there's one person that inspired me to inspire myself, and no matter what happens, I'm forever grateful for that because the impact on my life and my children's lives and everything else by me being my best self is reward itself. I, I think over time I'll make less mistakes or different mistakes, right? Because everything in life is a learning experience. And as I'm learning to be more uncomfortable and I'm being okay with being uncomfortable, Monday's another roundtable. It's the seventh one. And even though, I co-created with Gabe, I refused to be the host. I was terrified, right? I feel very insecure and unqualified being on those. Um, and in some ways, I'm forcing myself because for me, that's an enormous step, right? I'm so terrified to do it. It's the scariest thing in the world. And um, I feel like I'm going to be alone and I feel like I'm going to, be absorbing it and just not, it's not all the way I want it to be, but that's okay, right? I mean, I can't control what other people's wants are, what they want to do with it, how they want to do it. I can only control how I handle things. And it's, you can make a mistake, you can apologize, but somebody doesn't have to forgive you. And you just have to accept that also. Or the forgiveness takes time, right? Because there needs to be, proof of whatever you're talking about. Because words have just worn thin, and that's fine. I understand and I get it. And I'm okay with that today because I'm just worried about today. I'm not worried about what's going to happen tomorrow, next week, next month, October 28th, right? My court date, court hearing, I should say. It's not even official court date, it's just a hearing, the temporary hearing. So, I mean, with all these things coming up and, you know, majority of the time feeling very alone through it all, um, it's difficult, right? But it's okay because I'm learning to be alone and I'm learning to be okay with being alone. And and just like Monday, ripping off the band-aid and forcing myself to do it, even though I'm scared shitless and I'm terrified. And, you know, I really don't know, right? Like, it's hard to explain, but it just doesn't feel the same. Um, well, then again, much doesn't these days, but that's okay too. In time, it either will feel similar but better, or it won't feel, or I'll just feel better, right? I mean, it just is what it is. I You can't rewrite the history, but you can write your future however you choose to, and I think that's very powerful. I think if you wake up every day with a fresh slate and you give yourself that freedom, then you're able to create your best day yet. And I'm not to that point yet where it's the best days yet, right? But I'm working towards it. I definitely am very happy. I definitely love myself today, right? And I can tell by the way I'm taking care of myself. Because if I didn't love myself, I wouldn't be taking care of myself. And I am. I'm eating so much better. I'm eating so much less. I'm not just snacking to pass time. When it comes to passing time, I meditate. When it comes to passing time, I just throw in my headphones and blast music and clean, right? Like there's so much to do when you're a single dad of three and you have to cook, clean, take care of them, work your businesses, try and help others as much as possible, help them with schoolwork, whatever they need, right? Because that's the priorities. It, it's it just takes on a lot and it takes a lot of energy throughout the day. And I normally don't get an opportunity to take the break for myself. I did get a little bit of one today. It wasn't a long one. It wasn't a horrible one. It wasn't a good one. Well, I shouldn't say that. It was a great one. And the reason was is because Sid decided to come lay next to me and I was able to hold her for a good 35, 40 minutes straight. And that was awesome, which is good because normally she doesn't sit still long enough for me even to hold her or give her a hug. So that was pretty cool. Um, it's these days, they're just adding up on me, which is great, right? For the first time ever, I'm not saying, wow, these days really suck and they're adding up. Now I'm saying I'm excited that these days are adding up. I'm excited that I'm committed to myself right now. And that's not normal for me. It's not a normal feeling and it still feels new and it is new, but I'm so, yes, Kenny. Look how gorgeous. I love you, Kenny. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate it. Um, you know, I feel like me again, but a little bit more improved, right? Like a few months ago, I was, very happy and I felt amazing, right? But again, I think in some ways, I was also, as I was changing and I was implementing certain changes, I wasn't doing the whole thing. Now I'm doing the whole thing and I'm doing it for me, right? Because at the end of the day, I've got nothing else to do it for. Um, the advantage of having no life. It's oh, it's funny, right? Like at one point I would have taken that as an insult. Today I take it as a enormous compliment because my version of no life is, yeah, I might have no social life. Yeah, I might not have any going out or friends near me or I don't get to go to sporting events or go hang out at, watch live sports or spend time with my friends, right? Or spend time with people I care about ever, ever at all, right? In months. I mean, it's been, I'm trying to think. I think the last time I went out and hung out with my friends was February 22nd. So anybody can do the math on that one. Um, the last time I hugged somebody other than immediate family was probably the third week of February. Before that, it was a little bit before that. I don't know what it was, but it was after Valentine's Day and before the 22nd. So it was somewhere in that window. And it's amazing, right? Like I've always been one of those touchy-feely, love hugging, love cuddling, love, found so much satisfaction from just breathing that moment in and being able to show how I feel about someone physically, right? Because again, my communication sometimes is off. So I was always big on communicating that way. And now in this circumstance, I'm being forced to change and learn how to communicate different ways, which sometimes is effective, sometimes it's not, but that's okay. It's a learning process. Um, you know, it's when you give yourself a chance to learn new things, to evolve new things, to be able to feel new things. It's amazing what you do, right? You rise up to the occasion when you allow yourself to. Um, it was amazing, right? Like having that conversation this morning um, and speaking and then listening and then participating, having breakouts. Like it was just this amazing feeling of love, empathy, compassion, relatability, um, communicating with people around the world, right? And I gotta say, I always thought, because I love that physical presence, right? That physical touch, that physical whatever it is, um, touch and feel and all the other senses. To me, right now, virtual any type of interaction is just as real as physical, and it really is, and it's scary almost, right? Because who wants to admit that you could do something virtually and feel either the same or some ways better, right? Because sometimes you lose your insecurities and inhibitions when you're virtual. Um, but it could be the same or better as being in front of somebody. And I think the human mind, right, and the human body and the human soul, when when it wakes up and you feel the connections, whatever kind of connection it is, friendly, hostile, whatever it is, I think you can actually place yourself there, and you can choose how you feel it and how it comes across and how you allow yourself to feel it, right? Like these are things that even, a couple years ago I would have said I was crazy. But the more that we were kind of forced into it, and I'm specifically forced into it, it makes me realize it's almost the same. I mean, it really is, and in some ways it is better, right? Because the insecurities and, like I said, those things are not there, because part of your mind still knows that it's whatever. It's not physically in front of you. You don't have to be insecure about it. You don't have to question yourself. But at the end of the day, it's real. It really is. And I just, I really just love where I'm headed right now. And I love what I'm doing daily. And these days are just getting easier. I don't seem to be fighting as much. I don't seem to be trying to swim upstream as much. I don't feel like a salmon today, um, which I guess is a good thing. Um, but I always wanted to fight the curve. I always wanted to break my own way to do things, and I'm still going to. I'm going to do things in my own way, but now I'm going to do it in my own way, to the fact that I still allow myself to the time to do what's best for me, and that is an enormous revelation for me, right? Like there's things in my life that I always said I would never change, and I'm changing them. And there's things in my life I said that all I want to do is change, and I'm not changing them. You know, I think the way I do certain things and I go all in on things and I give everything my all, and when I'm involved in a friendship, relationship, whatever it is, I give everything I have to it. And I think there's a way to do that in a hybrid way, to where it doesn't affect myself, or it doesn't affect me and how I feel about myself. I think when I'm not whole, right, and I'm working towards that, and I'm pouring from a half full glass, it's impossible. And that's what I've always done. But I think as I'm working towards being whole and working towards, feeling complete and being okay with me, those things will work themselves out to where I'll be able to give everything I have while also reserving some for myself. And I'm okay with that today. I'm not as scared that I'm going to be rejected. I'm not as scared that I'm going to feel insecure or not be good enough. You know, sometimes it just is what it is, right? Like any business, any relationship, any friendship, any of those things take work. And I was always the first person to run from that work because all my insecurities, all my fears, everything would come to the surface. And I'm looking at it now, and as much as I have run in the past and ran in the past, I'm not allowing myself to do that anymore. I'm giving myself the self compassion to work through it to the best of my ability. And those are monumental steps. Those are just like these aha moments where I just wake up and it's just like, wow, like this is crazy, right? Um, like the other night I meditated for a whole bunch of time and I felt and I slept so much better. Like it was just everything was released. And I mean, I literally prayed and meditated for almost 2 hours the night, like that night, because my mind was just all over the place. I didn't say anything to anyone. I didn't really make myself nuts over it, but I sat with myself. I slowed myself down. I allowed myself to find peace with it completely. I woke up and I was in an unbelievable mood. So what I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to start meditating before bed also. I don't know, tonight I'm really tired, but I'm still going to do it anyway. Um, because I want to, I think there's something to clearing my mind before I go to bed. I'm not a big writer. I don't get a lot out of writing. But what I do get a lot out of is gratitudes, right? And having gratitudes and grasping the strength and the magnitude of those on a regular basis. It definitely puts me in a better mood when I'm being grateful for everything I do have and not focusing on the things I don't, right? Like, I'm not whining about being alone as much anymore. There's moments that it sucks, right? There's moments that I want somebody next to me and that I want to be able to hold somebody and I want to, whatever, right? I want somebody to be there in my life. But maybe for now, it's just not meant for me, right? Maybe this is what I need to learn right now is that it's okay to just be me. I have been meditating, Kenny. I meditated, I think, 5 different times today already. It was a long day, but like a couple of short ones. But I definitely love meditating. There's no doubt about that. It's it's definitely helping, right? Because it's completing the full circle of mental, physical, spiritual, um, and it's making me more whole, and it's completing those empty voids that I still have, and little by little, I'm progressing and moving forward and working through it all. Um, when meditating, I still have trouble visualizing stuff, but that's okay because I blocked out when I was a young child because it was too much when I was a kid. Um, but that's okay. I'll get there again. I'm not worried about that. It's not a concern today. I just wanted to share because I think today was a great day, and I think taking the proper steps and taking the baby steps and accepting them and really just being okay with them um, is share worthy, right? I feel like it can impact others, it can help others to see that, yes, there's days that I'm on here and I am so emotional, I'm practically crying, right? Or are crying. But then there's days where I'm just at peace. And I really just feel that today. It's an unusual feeling for me, but I do feel it. Um, and it's nice. It really is a nice feeling. So I'm going to get off, and I wanted to say have an amazing night to everybody. I will see you again tomorrow night. Monday, I won't be doing this because I got to do the round table, and that's going to be 2 hours. So I'm not gonna do this Monday night. But Kenny, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you being here as always. You are an enormous supporter, and really helped me tremendously. Um, and have a great night, everybody.